This is the true story of the nun. The Vatican has held the head of a possessed nun for over 300 years. In 1742, a nun named Josephine Rosenthal appeared pregnant. Josephine became frustrated when she claimed that she had not had relations with a man. As a result of this, tests were performed which determined that she was still a virgin, and it was determined that she was a divine case. Josephine lost her life when she gave birth to a baby girl named Maria Rosenthal. Maria became the object of ridicule by nuns and priests because she was a hermaphrodite, and people perceived her as a demonic being for having such a condition. In view of this, church leaders came up with a plan to take Maria's life at the same age as Jesus at 33 years old, to make her death seem divine. This plan reached Mary's ears, so she decided to take her own life. After that, the priests ordered her head to be removed and embalmed in a box with a cross. After her death, Maria began to give paranormal apparitions in the convent.
Be careful what you put in your body. In 2014, a couple returned to their home to find it trashed in baffling ways. There was lotion all over the door handles, all of their shoes had had their soles ripped off of them, and someone had dumped an entire can of paint all over the toilet. Despite the obvious break-in, the police come and can't find any evidence of theft, so they leave thinking the couple's not in danger anymore. That night, the couple hears scratching underneath their bed and what sounds like a crying animal. Not wanting to find out what it was, they leave and call the cops, who come right back and start investigating the house, and they make a startling discovery in their bedroom. Wedged underneath the couple's bed was this 90-pound tiny little woman carrying a huge butcher's knife and a hypodermic needle. As they're taking this crazy lady away in handcuffs, one of the officers comes over to the couple and is like, so she was high on meth, and for at least 2 hours, she had been burrowing a hole in the underside of your mattress with that knife to get to you.
Guys, have you heard of true, scary story of Manananggal? It's a very terrifying creature from Philippines. The Manananggal is a vampire-like monster that can separate its upper body from its lower body with bat-like wings. It flies into the night in search of prey, especially pregnant women. Story goes like this. One dark and stormy night in a small village, a woman named Aling Rosa was alone at home. Her husband had gone to the city, leaving her by herself. She was heavily pregnant and nearing her due date. As the wind howled outside, she heard a strange flapping noise. Nervous, Aling Rosa checked all the windows and doors to make sure they were locked. Suddenly, she heard a scratching sound on the roof. Her heart pounded as she realized what it could be. The Manananggal was trying to get in. Quickly, she spread salt around the windows and placed garlic cloves near the doors. The flapping and scratching grew louder, and Aling Rosa could hear the creature's eerie, shrill laughter. It tried to find a way in, but the salt and garlic kept it at bay. After what felt like hours, the first light of dawn appeared, and the Manananggal screeched in defeat, flying away to reattach to its lower body before sunrise. Shaken but safe, Aling Rosa knew she had narrowly escaped the clutches of the terrifying Manananggal. How would you rate this story on a scale of 1 to 10? Share your rating in comments. In Japan, there's a terrifying story about a creature called the Rokurokubi. By day, Rokurokubi look like ordinary women, but at night, they transform into something horrifying. One such story is about a woman named Yuki, who lived in a small village. During the day, Yuki was kind and gentle, loved by everyone. But at night, her neck would stretch to unbelievable lengths, and she would roam the village, looking for unsuspecting victims. The villagers started noticing strange things. Livestock began to disappear. One night, a villager named Kenji decided to stay awake and watch. He saw Yuki, her neck stretching out. Horrified, Kenji followed her as she slithered into houses, spreading fear and chaos. The next morning, Kenji told the villagers what he had seen. They confronted Yuki, who denied everything. Desperate, they sought help from a local priest. The priest performed a ritual and revealed Yuki's true nature as a Rokurokubi. Exposed, Yuki begged for forgiveness. The villagers, scared and confused, decided to banish her from the village. Yuki's fate remains unknown, but her story is a chilling reminder of the hidden horrors that can lurk beneath a normal appearance. Comments your country so I can make a true scary story.
Most terrifying urban legends from around the world. In 1978, a girl named Catherine went missing after she heard strange noises coming from the woods behind her backyard. Her sister said Catherine heard the voice of their mother calling to her, but something about this voice sounded distorted and wrong. That was one of the first sightings of Siren Head, a tall humanoid creature with unusually long limbs and 2 siren speakers attached to his head with human mouths inside. This allows the Siren Head to play the voices of its victims' families to lure them in. This creature is usually found in rural places and small towns, making it easier to blend into the environment and disguise itself between the trees or as a telephone pole. So remember, next time you hear the voice of a family member coming from an unusual place, don't go investigating, and follow for more stories.
This circle deep in the heart of forest in North Carolina, called the Devil's Tramping Ground. It's like this eerie circle, about 40 feet wide, where nothing grows, just this creepy, barren ground. They say it's where the devil himself walks at night, like he's pacing around in there. So, one night, these friends, brave or maybe just curious, decide to camp right inside that circle. They're all excited at first, thinking it's just a spooky story, But as the night goes on, things start to feel off. It's like the air around them gets colder, and everything gets super quiet, like too quiet. And then, out of nowhere, they start hearing footsteps circling around them, but there's no one there. Can you imagine? Shadows start moving all weird, and these strange whispers fill the air, like someone's talking in a language you can't understand. The friends, they try to leave, but they can't move. It's like something invisible is holding them down, keeping them stuck right there in that creepy circle. Panic sets in big time. Finally, they manage to break free, and they run as fast as they can out of that circle and into the safety of the woods. But when they look back, that circle, it's darker than the darkest night, and they swear they see these glowing red eyes staring right at them. After that, none of them ever go back there. People say if you leave anything in that circle overnight, it just disappears by morning, like something spooky is moving it away. Guys, suggest me scary stories or comment your country so I can make a story.
This photo is of the Cincinnati crawler. It was taken by a family who caught him in their home in 1974, but he escaped shortly afterwards. So in 1974, the Johnson family in Cincinnati noticed a couple weird things happening in their home. The 14-year-old daughter, Claire, would complain about seeing glowing eyes outside of her window at night. And then one night, the youngest son, Timmy, was laying in bed in the dark when he felt the family dog jump up onto his bed. But when he went to go pet it, it was not the dog. It was the crawler, who police still believe was responsible for the disappearance of 4 other boys in the area. Some believe that he was an escaped convict, while others actually believe that he was the victim of human experiments happening in the area that may have been conducted by the family's dad. Claire snapped this photo of him before he escaped, but he was never found since.
In our village, there's a true story that still sends chills down our spines. One night, a man named Ali was working late in his fields. The night was quiet, and the moon cast eerie shadows over the land. As Ali worked, he saw a cow approaching him from the distance. But as it got closer, he realized something was terribly wrong. The cow's eyes glowed with a sinister light, and its teeth were not normal. They were sharp and menacing. Suddenly, the creature revealed its true form. It was a skinwalker with sinister teeth and razor-sharp claws. Ali's heart pounded in his chest. Fear gripped him, and he turned to run. The skinwalker chased him, its footsteps echoing in the dark. Ali ran as fast as he could, his breath ragged and his legs burning. Just as he neared the edge of the town, he felt a sharp pain, and everything went black. In the morning, the villagers found Ali unconscious near the fields. When he woke up, he told them what had happened. The story of the skinwalker spread quickly, and to this day, no one dares to work alone in the fields at night.
This paranormal story will make the hairs on your neck stand straight up. A Reddit user that we'll call Mary moved into a rent house with her boyfriend and another roommate. And she said from the time they moved in, it just never really felt like home. It didn't have that cozy, safe vibe. In fact, it was the exact opposite. Oftentimes, she just would have this creeped out feeling that she was being watched and followed around the house. Well, her boyfriend and roommate worked nights, and so she was often home alone at nighttime. And on this one particular evening, she was in fact home alone, and she was going through her nighttime routine. She was watching a little TV before bed, and that same sense of dread and being creeped out came over her. And as she was sitting there watching TV, she couldn't make herself look down the bedroom hallway, let alone walk down there. And this persisted for about 2 hours of just feeling particularly on edge about the hallway. But after a while, she was tired and sleepy, and she said, you know what, this is ridiculous. I'm just freaking myself out over nothing. I'm going to bed. So she walks down that hallway. She leaves the lights on in the hallway, but she goes and shuts herself in her bedroom, gets into bed, flips off the lamp, and tries to go to sleep. And as she's laying there in bed in the dark, all of a sudden she starts hearing a sound. And it's the sound of her side table drawer creaking open and clicking to a stop. She immediately flips on the lamp and looks, and nothing's out of place. She flips the lamp back off, and this continues to happen about another 6 times before she finally says, screw it, I'm sleeping with the lights on. So she pulls the covers up over her head, and she's just at this point waiting for her boyfriend to come home. And around 3 a.m., her boyfriend does come home, and she's like, thank God, and she tells him everything that's gone on. And he makes fun of her, and he's like, you are being ridiculous. You got yourself freaked out over nothing. It's time to go to sleep. So he flips off the lights, he gets in bed, and all hell breaks loose. One by one, the doors in the hallway start slamming shut. Boom, 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 boom. The closet doors in every room of the house start rattling violently. And the sounds from inside these closets sound like utter destruction. We're talking things being ripped off of hangers, the poles in the closets being ripped down. It just sounds like total chaos. And Mary and her boyfriend are literally hiding under the covers together, absolutely terrified. Everything finally went quiet, and it took about 5 or 10 minutes for Mary to convince her boyfriend to go check out the house. And they knew it wasn't their roommate because their roommate had actually driven 3 hours to see a friend. So the boyfriend goes and checks out the house, opens the closet doors. Nothing is out of place. Needless to say, Mary's boyfriend became a believer, and they moved out of that house shortly after. Y'all, I'm on my way to 1 million followers. Please hit that follow button, like and comment. That helps the algorithm show my videos to more people. Cheers.
This is one of the scariest stories I've ever read. It was posted 10 years ago on Reddit by an account called A Writer Named Williams. It was on the subreddit called Let's Not Meet. The story is called Poker Face. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this very scary story. This happened in Antioch, California. It was around 2 a.m. I was at a friend's house, safe and warm, sheltered suburbia. We were having a lot to drink, chit-chatting, enjoying ourselves, of course. When you're having fun, time hits the fast-forward button, and those few minutes turn into an hour. I had too much to drink. My friend has a bit of an abrupt bedtime, so I had to dodge out early, still intoxicated. I felt too shameful thinking I'd be asking too much to stay in his house to sleep off the drunkenness. I suppose he was either too rude or too drunk to consider it himself. Whatever. Sometimes a little inconvenience makes you appreciate everything else. I needed about another hour or so to sober up and drive back. As fast as time passed during my stay, it decided to drastically slow down as soon as I stepped out of his house. It was a cul-de-sac area, a concrete jungle with the stem of the street breaking into a fork. Alongside the road, my car was parked. The only street light that worked was in the middle of the cul-de-sac circle, about 80 yards away. I stumbled towards my car, produced my keys, and felt the metal line up. Opened my door and shifted to the back seat. Because this was a dark, strange, and unfamiliar neighborhood, I took the leftover newspapers and a sweater in my back seat to cover myself up. I was a little scared. I wanted to camouflage myself and not just be some guy awkwardly sitting in his car, waiting for time to pass in order to drive home. I couldn't fall asleep. The uncomfortable feeling of a cheap backseat bed enshrouded in darkness didn't make the chance of slumber easier. It felt too ominous, and of course my mind began to wonder. I thought of worst-case scenarios, like how the police would shine their lights on me through the window, or a drunk driver hitting my car, and... Wait. In the distance, about 100 yards away, I hear footsteps approaching. The gravel scuffed with each step forward, growing in proximity but periodically taking stops. I wondered why until it made sense in my mind. Whoever it was probably looking through cars carefully, with the intent to steal one. I couldn't recall how many cars were on the block, but I counted 3 full stops until he was at my window, breathing. I froze. There was no more than 1 foot between us. The car encapsulated me as I lay hidden beneath backseat clutter, forming myself into an object, trying my hardest to be unnoticeable, unmoving, and simply not there. "I see you," said a 40-plus-year-old man in a perverse baby talk. I imagine when you were playing hide and seek and one of your friends tricks you into coming out, he said it in that tone of voice, as if baiting me, like he was questioning whether the clutter in the back seat was just clutter or a person. I didn't want to move or check the window. I remained clutter. Give me an Academy Award. My body reacted by minimizing my breathing so much that I felt paralyzed. I dare not to look. My eyes fixated on the back of the passenger seat. I didn't blink, I didn't move, I didn't breathe. My heart was pounding so hard it shook my body with each throb. He circled around the car. My ears didn't fail me. I heard the steps. I felt like I was part of the car. I could feel him touching the trunk as he carefully pressed down on it, as if to test the alarm, as if to test me. I was in the middle of fight or flight. I couldn't do either without elevating danger. I was frozen and hoping to God he was bluffing. He circled the car again. The door handle to my right jiggled. He was pulling it multiple times. "I see you." Same tone, but more agitated and stressed, more convinced that he was trying to make that clutter move, revealing itself to be one of his expectations that it was me. My muscles tensed like a cow before slaughter. That had to be metal against glass. "Take a penny right now and tap your window." A crowbar, a knife, a rock, a gun. My eyes fixated on the seat in front of me, never averting my gaze like he was. I was covered enough to where I couldn't see beyond the seat in front of me. I know I couldn't see him, but I can feel his eyes resting on top of me.
"My name is Poker Face. What's your name?"
The voice changed in a lower, demented and serious tone. My mind forced a visual. It wasn't anything human. I already accepted my death. I was ready to be shot in the head, ready to take a life-changing bullet, multiple knife wounds. Just make this sleep bearable, not excruciating, as you drain me of life. I wouldn't know how to react. My thoughts grew dimmer. I imagined my friend waking up the next morning after a calm night of safe and sound sleep, only to discover my mutilated, defiled, and bloody body hanging outside of my car door. It was then I heard nothing but my own heart. What was this person doing now? Just staring at me in the middle of the night, talking to me, or a messy pile in the back seat? Time froze. The footsteps were being swallowed in the distance. Thank God he left. I waited another hour until the sun showed hints of itself. I jumped in my front seat and bolted out of there, wide-eyed and sober. And that's the end of the story.
I am the reason you don't want to go to the UAE. I am Al-Duwais, a jinn. Let me tell you my story. At night, I appear as a beautiful woman. My eyes are like stars. My hair is long and dark, and my smile is sweet. Men cannot resist me. They follow me, thinking they have found something wonderful. I lead them away from the lights and people to a quiet, dark place. There, I show my true self. My eyes turn red, my teeth become sharp, and my face twists into a terrifying shape. The men scream, but it is too late. I pounce on them and eat them. People in the UAE know my story. They tell their children, do not go out at night. Do not follow a beautiful woman. She may be Al-Duwais. They stay inside when the sun sets. Many years ago, some did not believe the stories. They went out at night, looking for adventure. They never came back. Now, everyone knows the truth. Remember my story. Stay safe and do not wander alone at night. If you see a beautiful woman, look away. Do not follow her, or you may become my next meal.
I think it's time I tell you guys why I don't post paranormal content anymore, but in order to do that, we have to take it back to the beginning. If you guys have been keeping up with my old videos, you know that weird things have been happening in my house, outside my house, pretty much anywhere that I go. And I've been posting paranormal content for a while for your guys' entertainment, to keep you entertained, to give you something to just watch. But the more that I do it, the worse that things get. I have a bunch of unreleased... Hold on a second. Sorry, it's all in my head. Sorry. I have a bunch of unreleased footage that I've never put on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube before. And if you guys want to see it, and if we get enough interaction on this video, enough likes, I'll release it. But I think it's time to bring back paranormal content, to just give you guys something to watch and just to get to the bottom of all of this. But stay tuned for my videos tomorrow.
This is the scary story about the school trip. An entire class of 6th graders went on a school trip one day. Everybody was taking pictures with their phones and cameras and having such a great time. But when they all got back to school, they started looking through all the photos they took, when suddenly one of the girls screamed, "Oh my god, what is that?" In the picture, one of the boys in the class was sitting on the bus, and nothing seemed strange about the photo until you looked at his reflection in the window. His face in the reflection looked like it was yellow and bulging, and completely mutating. Also, there was a white floating figure behind him in the reflection. Everybody turned the photo upside down and realized it was a human skull, and it was horrific. And when the boy saw the photo of himself, he immediately burst into tears and had a panic attack. The teacher then took the boy to the nurse's office, and the principal banned everybody from speaking about the strange photo ever again. And to make this even scarier, 7 days later, the boy died from a brain tumor. The photo is said to be on the internet somewhere, but I don't recommend looking for it.
This one item might just save your life. You would probably want to save this advice. It's all completely based on this photo. This was taken by Mary Reed in 2016 during the infamous clown epidemic. She was actually home alone because her boyfriend had just run out to pick up takeout because they were going to spend the night at home watching movies. But while home alone, she caught this in the glass of her front door. Of course, she was startled at first, but she immediately assumed that this was her boyfriend who was in a costume just playing a joke. So she takes out her phone and she starts taking pictures of this, assuming it's her boyfriend. When her boyfriend suddenly calls her on the phone, she was confused and she answered, to which her boyfriend said that he had just pulled into the driveway and there was someone at the front door in a costume. He told her to run to the nearest room and lock the door. Boyfriend leaped from his car from the driveway, and luckily what he had with him was a taser pulse, and he was able to strike this person from the back and get him to the ground. At the time police came, they realized the man had intentions to enter the home.
I'm not gonna lie, this story scared me. It really did scare me. So get ready. So there's this girl who had a best friend named Abigail. They both graduated school, so now they're in college, but she says how she continues to see Abigail because Abigail's grandmother lives down the street from her, and she would come every weekend to take care of her grandmother. So because she was only there to take care of her grandma, she was never able to come out and party with her. So the girl and her sister would actually go to Abigail's grandma's house and they would hang out with her. That way she can have some company while she was there. She mentions that because of them going over to Abigail's grandma's house, her little sister also became very best friends with Abigail too. She also mentions that every time they would go visit Abigail at their grandmother's house, they never saw the grandmother because she was bedridden and she was very ill, so she was never around. So she decided to come home from college because it was right before Christmas and her family was throwing a party. When she arrives home, one of her cousins tells her that they actually saw Abigail down at her grandmother's house, and they also saw a lot of people over there, and she thought to herself, hey, maybe they were having a party too, and maybe I can go ask Abigail if she wants to come to my party, being that a lot of people are there and she doesn't have to stay at her grandmother's house to take care of her because there might be somebody else there that could. Her mother also mentioned how long it's been since she's even seen Abigail, so she decided to get her little sister and head over to Abigail's grandmother's house so they can invite her to the party. However, when they arrive to Abigail's grandmother's house, all the lights are off, there's no sound like somebody's in the house, but they do notice that the gate on the side of the house is opened, and Abigail and her grandmother would always have that gate closed. So they thought to themselves, maybe there is a party going on, but it's behind the house and not inside, and that's why the gate is open. So they decided to go through the gate. So after going through the gate and seeing that there was actually no one in the back of the house, they decided to just go ahead and knock on the front door, but there was no response. So when no one responded, she told her little sister that maybe there was nobody at home, and she started to walk away. But But her little sister decided to knock the door so hard there's no way that nobody heard it. She mentions that her little sister has always been very carefree and outspoken, and of course she would do that and embarrass her, but that's what she decided to do, so she just stood by her to see if maybe somebody came to the door. So as they're waiting by the door, they actually start to hear noises in the house a little further away, like if someone was walking towards the front door. They heard when the person got to the door, but they never opened it. Not only did the person in the house never open the door, but they never even said anything, so they decided to ask for Abigail. After asking, they could hear somebody having like a hard time breathing, like they were breathing really hard, but there was no response, so they repeated themselves, "Can you please tell me if Abigail's home? We just want to see her." So after that, the person behind the door unlocks it, and her little sister goes to push the door in and open it, but she stops her. She thought to herself, I don't think Abigail's here. She would have already opened the door. I'm thinking it's her grandmother having the hardest time opening the door for us, thinking that we're her family members and we need to get out of here because this doesn't feel good. So they rush out of there and they're on their way home, and right before they get home, they run into Abigail's brother Felix, except for he's crying and they're asking him if he's okay, and he says no. Felix tells them that his grandmother passed away that morning, and obviously they gave him a hug and they gave him their condolences. After that, she decides to ask Felix if Abigail was home, in which he says no, because that same morning one of their aunts got sick, so Abigail went with the aunt to the hospital, and as a matter of fact, the only person in that house is their grandmother's dead body. The only person in that house was the body of the grandmother, and the reason why he was walking towards that house because he was gonna go and wait for the ambulance to come and get the body from the house. She mentions how as soon as he said it, she was just like, what the... And how she looked at her sister and she could tell that her sister's thinking this exact same thing, but obviously they didn't want to tell him that. But they were freaked out because they clearly heard someone in that house that sounded like the grandmother opening that door. After that, they went home, and she mentions that they never even saw Abigail until the day of the funeral, and how they wouldn't dare even tell her what happened at that moment, and till this day they never told her, but they still wonder like what would have happened. I got chills, what the fuck. Till this day they still wonder what they would have seen if they had opened that door. By the way, this story comes from Relatos de Noche, and let me just tell you, these stories are 1,000 times more scarier in Spanish, so if you can listen to Spanish stories, please go check them out. They're fucking amazing.
This is a true horrifying story, part 76. This story took place in Dubai very recently. There's a group of young Emirati guys that contributed money to rent a villa in a community in Dubai. They pretty much wanted to co-rent a house so they can spend time together on the weekends. So they rented this villa. They were playing games, partying, doing wrong things, bringing girls over, you know, stuff like that. On a normal weekend, one of these guys named Ahmed started talking to a local girl recently. After a couple of tries, he finally convinces her to come over. Before she arrived, he tells his friends not to come upstairs as he would be in one of the bedrooms with this girl. When she arrived, he immediately takes her upstairs and locks the bedroom door. In 30 minutes exactly, all the guys downstairs hear drastic screaming coming from upstairs. They see Ahmed running down the stairs, completely naked with no clothes on, scared for his life. They ask him, "What is going on?" He stutters in fear, saying, "Get out of this house, all of you." They thought he was playing some sort of prank until they see the girl run down the stairs, also with no clothes on. She was screaming with a man's voice, telling Ahmed to come back. It wasn't her normal voice. It sounded raspy and very manly. They all run outside, and one of Ahmed's friends takes his pants off and gives it to Ahmed so he can cover up. They start running and knocking on neighbors' doors in panic because calling the police will not help the situation. Maybe because there was something inside the house they didn't want the police to see. There was an Emirati neighbor nearby that allowed them to stay in his home until they figured out a solution. As they explained the story to this neighbor, Ahmed sneaks outside and sees this girl completely dressed up in her clothes, conscious and not knowing what is going on. He yells at her from a distance, saying, "Stay away from me. Don't come any closer. I want nothing to do with you." She cries in pain, not knowing what she did. She asks him, "Why are you standing far from me?" He told her to leave. She cries and begs him to drop her home because she didn't even know where she was. This was a Ashiq jinn that possessed this girl, and this jinn did not allow another man to do the dirty with her. If someone wanted to be a hero while these things were happening, something very bad could have happened and lives could have been taken.
She was alone in a children's playground when she hears this. Late one night, two friends decide to play in a children's playground in a restaurant while it's unoccupied when they capture something creepy.
Enjoy. This is what we have to get up to. This is really hard. I feel too big to do this.
Do you feel out of breath inside?
Yeah. Wait, where'd you go, left or right?
I went left.
Which way do I go? I feel like I'm in Alice in Wonderland. Okay, she went that way. Okay, I'm gonna go to the right.
Okay.
Yours is brighter, mine's all dark. I can't do this. I feel like I keep bonking my head too. This is literally for human hamsters.
A creepy voice can be heard coming from right next to the girl, although she heard nothing, and her friend can be heard in the distance. So just who or what is this?
I and disrupted the lives of many children, and now everyone is afraid of me. Hello, I am Cropsy, but they know me as Andre Rand, and my name is linked to one of the darkest cases in New York City. I am accused of horrible crimes, kidnappings, and worse acts that have terrorized this city. I was the janitor at Willowbrook State School, an institution for children with intellectual disabilities, and these children who belonged to this school were abused, and some of them did not even survive. In 1972, a 12-year-old girl disappeared at the school, and it took them a month to find her body buried in a grave at the same school. I was also arrested and charged for the disappearance of 4 other children, but they never found the location of the bodies and the school was closed. To this day, I am still fighting in court for my innocence, but people don't know what I went through in my childhood, what made me become the monster I am today, and now you know why.
Her daughter kept waving at something in her room. Then one night, Serena saw this. Serena shared a chilling video about her daughter's unsettling behavior, where she began to act strange, staring at something invisible in her room.
Cheyenne.
Serena initially dismissed it as imagination, but one night while Cheyenne slept in her crib, Serena checked the nanny cam and saw something straight out of a horror movie. The footage reveals a shadowy figure moving past the crib, then leaning over as if staring directly at her daughter. Serena believes that whatever this entity is has attached itself to her daughter.
got a shark problem.
Bro, Sam, on my life, right, I have fucking Aragog sitting in that fucking hole. Look, he's fucking...
This is why you never talk back to a mimic. A man named Ollie from Canada caught a terrifying moment on video. He was home alone when he started hearing his wife's voice calling for him.
There's no way Emma decided
Dave, come downstairs.
at 3 in the morning. And then
His security camera catches the door slamming shut by itself.
what the fuck?
Ollie claims that his wife was out of town that night, and he has no idea who or what was calling for him.
Testing your phobia. Watch until the end. Trypophobia. Easy. Level 1. Medium. Level 2. Hard. Level 3. Megalophobia. Easy. Level 1. Medium. Level 2. Hard. Level 3. Extreme. Level 4.
This is why you never go exploring alone. A man that goes by WACC posted this chilling video to YouTube. He was exploring an abandoned house when someone or something can be seen hiding from him. A figure can be seen standing up and running away when he turns the corner. This is the only scary video that's been posted to this channel, and he's been quiet ever since. What do you think was hiding in that doorway? Tell me your thoughts.
In this video, you learn how Gumball's entire family was murdered.
Why are you looking like that? This look a bit real. Is there no like copyright? This is too good. This is too good. Look at his face. This is so good. This need to be a whole series. Oh my God, y'all see that in the window? Yo. Oh God. What's wrong? Darwin is dead. Oh, I don't even remember her name. Oh my God, the dad got mangled. Yeah, they dead. Yo, so did Gumball get clapped? Oh my God. Oh my God, that's actually so sad. They showed it. Oh my gosh.